Hello, everyone. It is the Monday edition of Daily Betslip, 10/10, October 10th. How about that? Myself and Peter Dewey. Peter will be joining you for the full show today as we talk the ALDS, NLDS, Monday Night Football tonight between the Raiders and Chiefs, and a bunch of other stuff, community picks, best bets, all that good stuff. Before we get too deep into the show, though, Peter, I want to set the over-under of when we're going to hear the sirens during today's episode.
Ooh. Oh man, I'd set it at 10.5 minutes, and I think I might take the under if I'm setting it at 10.5 minutes.
All right, I'll take the over. I'm going to predict it's going to be at the 17-minute mark.
Okay, I like that. They went by probably like 10 minutes before the show. I had sirens, so now I'm like, oh, maybe we might not get them, but I'm optimistic.
All right, we'll see. So there you go. Over under 10.5 minutes. Place your bets. Yeah, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, like I said, the Monday Night Football game, Raiders-Chiefs. We have some picks for tomorrow's MLB slates. I have my picks for tomorrow's afternoon games since they'll be live before tomorrow's episode of Daily Betslip. Peter has a pick for the Yankees-Guardians game, which I believe is tomorrow night, but I don't think you're on tomorrow's Betslip, so I'll allow you to make a pick for that game on today's show. And, of course, we've got community picks, and we're going to go through every single divisional series and give our picks for that. And I see the notes here, and we are actually on different sides of 3 of the 4 series. So.
I was going to say, very interesting. I'm excited to hear your takes because I'm like very torn on multiple of these series. So I'm excited to see where you're coming from because it might help me flip my pick.
I will say I did go 3-1 in the wild card series. The only one I did not get right was I backed my Jays like an idiot. But I did call Padres beating the Mets. I thought the odds are way off mark for that one. And Phillies and what was the other series? Guardians to beat the Rays. Did you watch that like 15-inning nothing game? That was a wild one.
I watched a little bit of it. Obviously, I was sick over the weekend, so I was just kind of doing nothing. So I watched a little bit of that one. I was hoping the Rays would win because obviously the Yankees were going to play whoever won that series. So I was like, let's use as much pitching in this game, and then let's make a game 3 and just kind of put both these teams out of commission. But fortunately, didn't end that way. But it was a great game. Like if you like playoff baseball, I feel like that was playoff baseball to the max that entire game.
Yep, for sure. All right, let's, without wasting any more time, let's dive into some community picks here. And I will say, producer Joanne is off today, I assume because of the holidays, so we can't show the tweets, but I actually need to bring them up. Because I have the pick, but I didn't have enough room to put in the description, so I'll just have to read off the description for these. By the way, I did make an announcement 45 minutes ago. I'm a Phillies fan the rest of the playoffs, since both the Jays and the Mets are out. I've adopted the Phillies, so apologies to Phillies fans. You are officially now cursed. All right, let's get into community picks. This one comes in from Stainer Betts, Isaiah Paquico. I still can't pronounce the name. I've heard it a million times already. Peter, pronounce the name for me.
I thought it was Pacheco, but
Pacheco, that's what it is. Nope, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. Over 21 and a half rushing yards. Obviously, the Kansas City running back there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has not looked great in a lot of starts this season. How do you feel about this prop bet?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I obviously a little concerned just like if he's going to get the workload because I know they rotate Jerick McKinnon on pass downs and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire is their starting back, but he's not good. He just keeps scoring touchdowns somehow. So yeah, if you think I know Pacheco, he had a big game in week 2 or not week 2, week 4. So I think if he gets a similar workload, this is definitely doable.
Yeah, 11 carries for 63 yards, average 5.7 yards per carry last week against the Bucs. So it'd be interesting to see if he maybe starts to take over that backfield from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that'll be an interesting storyline to watch out for tonight. There was no further description with that pick, so nothing else to read off there. There is one with this one, though. Raiders plus 7.5. This comes in from @gambling_Pablo. And he does add in the tweet, Raiders are going into a bye week, so teams should throw the kitchen sink here. Don't really know what that means. Hunter Renfrow is back into the fold. Yes, I like that. KC defense ranked 27th in pass defense and 30th in passing touchdowns allowed. I'll have to look that up. KC could be looking ahead to the Bills in week 6. Listen, I like the Raiders. Most people should know by now. That's my pick. I'll get into my reasons later in the show. So I'm with you, @gambling_Pablo. I don't know if Raiders going into a bye week means anything. And I don't know. I'm not a big look-ahead spot guy. I know people love to say the look-ahead spot. Listen, there's 17 games in an NFL season. Maybe if this was Major League Baseball when there's 162 and there's a big series coming up. But there's 17 games in an NFL season. This is a divisional rival. This is a Monday Night Football game. I don't think Kansas City is going to take tonight off personally. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, I could talk more of this one because I have a pick on this game too. But yeah, I get do they have a big game next week, but like this is a divisional game. Like this is automatically a big game. Like any game you play within your division, it is a big game. So I wouldn't say that they're looking past this Raiders team, especially because, the Raiders were a playoff team last year too. Like I know they haven't gotten off to a good start this year, but this isn't like, they're playing the Texans on Monday Night Football. Like this game matters for sure.
27th, I just looked it up because 27th in pass defense in terms of opponent total passing yards per game. But Chiefs also, I just had it up here. In terms of opponent pass yards per attempt, they're much better. 8th in the NFL at 6.0. So That's why I look at the per play statistics over just total yardage in the game, because if you throw the ball 50 times, it's going to be a lot different than if you throw the ball 20 times. So
yeah,
it's something to keep in mind. But hey, I'm with you on the pick. I'll give my reasons out a little bit later. So best of luck to us at Gambling Pablo. Let's go with the pick from at Tim Harrington. I think I said this last show. I know a Tim Harrington from college. I don't think this is him though. Probably not. Raiders first quarter money line plus 180. He says Raiders have scored on their opening drive in 4 straight games. Hope Josh scripts out another gem. I'm sure he's referring to Josh Jacobs.
Josh McDaniels, maybe.
Or that makes more sense because he says scripts. Yeah. Yes. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, that I didn't realize they scored on the first drive that often. They have gotten up in games early. They blew the game against Arizona. They got up against my Broncos. So I don't hate that. I just also Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes in prime time, and I'll talk about this more in my pick. It's just a bear to bet against. So I guess if you're going to take first quarter, you're kind of limiting the variance here, but not with the way I'm leaning in this game. That's all. So that's why I'm against it. But
Luke Schill in the chat says he likes Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns. I'm sure we're going to get to that here in a little bit.
Yes.
Big YouTube comment here from 69mega.com. Only Putin didn't find girl with us. Any thoughts on that?
The bots are in the chat. You're doing something right in YouTube when the bots are in the chat.
I don't know. I think that's a fan of the show. I think 69mega.com. Only Putin didn't find girl with us is a big fan of the show. So shout out to them. Let's keep some picks going here. See if I can find my spot again. I don't think I brought this one up, but Luke Schill likes it as well. Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns at plus 125. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. I got a feeling. I don't think I brought this one up yet. Josh Jacobs under 60.5 rushing yards. This comes in from at Jared Mello 33. My good friend Jared Mello. I'm on the opposite side of this one. I don't have this pick on the show. I talked about it on Vegas Insider this morning. I actually like the over. Josh Jacobs got a ton of carries last week. I think the Raiders might start to, and very effective with those carries, by the way, just ran all over your Denver Broncos, as I'm sure you're aware, Peter. And I think the Raiders know that if they want to beat the Chiefs tonight, I think they got to keep the ball on the ground, milk the clock, keep Mahomes off the field. And if Josh Jacobs gets another 20-plus carries, I think he's going to go over this total. So I actually like the over, but I do see quite a few people are on the under. So that is going to be an interesting prop to watch tonight.
Yeah, I think there's it's kind of a two. You make the good case. If they want to win this game, they probably do have to milk the clock, have to run the ball. I guess the people taking the under, the thought process is they fall behind big early. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot to stay in the game. So depending upon, which school of thought you kind of see this game going is, I guess, how you bet this prop. Probably going to stay away from this one for myself, in all honesty. But I can see the thinking for both sides.
Luke Schill is in the comments. He says to go on 69420megabongrips.com, one of Peter's favorite websites. All right, I think that's it for the community picks. Let's move on to our best bets. I think you have two. Do you have 2 picks for tonight's game?
Yeah, I got 2 for the tonight's game and then another one for later.
So let's start with the Thursday night football games. Our best bet's going to be saved for the end of the show for tonight, but you have a couple of bets here. Is it two? Yeah, two prop bets. So why don't we go ahead with your first prop bet, the one that's already been brought up on the show?
Yeah, so I'm taking Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns tonight. I'm a huge fan of that one. You just look at what he's done against the Raiders in his career. He's played 8 games against them. He's a passer rating of 112.4. He's thrown for 2,546 yards, 22 touchdowns, and just 3 picks in 8 games. So he's nearly averaging 3 touchdowns a game against the Raiders. We're getting him at plus money, obviously, here to do so. Mahomes is also absolutely money in primetime games. And I think like the thing with Mahomes in primetime is it's not like a small stat. It's 17 games. He has 38 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 4,800 passing yards, and he's 15-2 in those games. Like this is his home. Like he loves being in this spot. And the Raiders' pass defense hasn't been great so far this year. Right now, they rank. Hold on, I gotta pull it back up. I apologize. So coming into this game, they rank at 23rd in the league in points allowed, and they rank 21st in opponent yards per play. So Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to have a field day tonight. Love him over 2.5 passing touchdowns. Been throwing the ball a ton, obviously, this year, especially on the goal line. So I think it's worth a shot at plus money.
Love it. Actually, don't love it because I'm on the Raiders. But I see your reasoning. I know he's been very good in prime time. So for those reasons, I like it. I see it is a popular bet up there. We already saw Luke Schill in the chat saying he likes it. One of the community picks was on it. So to be honest, that makes me a little nervous because when everyone's on the same side, weird things happen. But we'll see. We will see. Let's see. Marty Warmuth. Sorry if I butchered your last name. Saving the tasty bets for the end, I see. Clever. Yes, my friend. That's what you got to do. We got to keep the people around. And he also said Kelsey might be over 2.5 tonight for touchdowns, I assume. You think Kelsey can get 3 touchdowns? That's a sneaky little bet. I know the Raiders are bad defending tight ends. So I do like any Kelsey props if you want to go that way. Luke Shilley's on you with that Mahomes play. That's my fave play, Peter. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Love to see it.
69mega.com. Only Putin didn't find girl with us. Some more emojis in the chats there. So shout out to that. It's never going to get old for me. All right. This is not my best bet. I'll save that for the end of the show. Well, I've already said it. My best bet's Raiders. I'll give the reason for that later in the show, but I do actually kind of like the over in this game as well. If you're looking for a play on the total, I do like that as well. Biggest reason, both these defenses absolutely stink in the red zone. 29th and 32nd in red zone defense. That tells me that a lot of red zone trips are going to end with touchdowns instead of field goals, and that usually helps with an over bet if you can find the end zone instead of trying to kick it through the uprights. Both offenses top half the NFL in yards per play. Vegas defense is pretty bad. Chiefs second and third down offense, 16th and third down defense. So I think there's a lot of stats to point towards a lot of points being scored tonight. I'm sick of unders hitting in primetime games. Let's get a primetime shootout for a change. Jesus Christ. We're seeing a lot of boring games in prime time.
Primetime games have kind of sucked, man. I mean, my Broncos have contribute to that. So
yeah, did you watch that entire Broncos game?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Tough. Would you have left the stadium in overtime like all those other fans?
I wouldn't have left the stadium. I wouldn't have left the stadium. Like that's not me, but I don't blame it. Like I saw people. I had a buddy texting me. He goes, "You guys are ruthless. Why are they booing Russell Wilson?" I was like, "Have you watched any of the games? Like he should be getting booed. He stinks." I was like, "What are we doing?" Yeah, of course they're booing him. I'd boo him too if I was there.
5 more years,
dude. 6, even worse. 6.
Bronco country. Let's ride. All right, let's. You have one more prop bet for tonight's game. You got an anytime touchdown score.
Yeah, going a little bit further down the board here. I like Hunter Renfrow anytime touchdown scorer tonight. Couple reasons why. He's making his return. Obviously, missed a couple games with a concussion, but he was really good against the Chiefs last year. Obviously, it's a different team with Devontae Adams there, but in 2 games against the Chiefs, Renfrow had one game he had 13 catches for 117 yards and a score, had another with 7 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown. I think Kansas City might try and sell out. They held Darren Waller to just 4 catches for 24 yards in the one game he played against them last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of go about this game and say, if anybody's going to beat us, it's going to be Hunter Renfrow. We're not going to lose to Devontae Adams and Darren Waller here. Renfroe obviously does a great job of getting open. He's one of Carr's favorite targets. It's also one of his favorite targets in the red zone over the last couple of years. So plus 230, like you're looking at Waller and Adams are much higher on the board in terms of scoring a touchdown. I think at plus 230, there's some value here for Renfroe, especially a guy who he's probably going to see, 5 to 10 targets in this game regardless. So I think he can break loose and score one tonight.
I like it. I have a touchdown score that I'm not giving out on this show, but Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's similar to the same price as Renfroe, at plus 240. I like that quite a bit. So if you're looking for some dark horse touchdown scoring bets tonight, little Renfroe action, little Valdez-Scantling action. Marty in the chat says, no matter how bad the Raiders get, we'll always be better than Denver, and that brings me comfort. Thoughts on that?
I mean, that's just not true. The Broncos won the Super Bowl like 6 years ago, but I mean, it's fine. I've taken my medicine on the Broncos for years now. Is this season changed? Like I had more expectations this year, but at this point, I'm just kind of like, it's whatever. It's same old, same old.
Go Knicks.
Go Knicks, man.
All right, let's talk some baseball, some game one matchups that start tomorrow. The first game of the day is the Phillies and the Braves, so I got to pick for that game. And I'm going to keep riding the Phillies. Going to take a plus 175 in game one here. I know that they have to go with Ranger Suarez because they used Wheeler and Nola in the wild card round, but I still think the value's here. And I think this is just completely mispriced. I know the Braves are the defending World Series champs. I know the Phillies, like I said, are going with their third pitcher. They have to take on the Braves' top pitcher in Max Fried, but these odds are just insane. Like the Braves should be favored, but not by this much, not even close. Max Fried has taken on the Phillies 4 times this season. The Braves are 2-2 in those games. He has a 3.13 ERA in those games. Now you might think 3.13 is not bad, but it's worse than his season-long ERA of 2.48. And the opposite is true with Ranger Suarez. He's faced the Braves 3 times, and his ERA on the season is 3.65, but against the Braves, it's 3.21. So Braves are a better team. Phillies, though, they're hot. They're riding some momentum after that wild card series win. I like the Phillies in this spot. I think the odds are completely mispriced.
I was going to ask you this. How do you feel about the way this wild card round is? Because obviously it's the first time we've ever seen it. Like, do you think there's an advantage that if you got to play in that wild card round, like the Phillies, the Guardians, who you won, and even the Padres who had to play 3 games, like you won that series? Like, do you think there's a value in you played those games and these other teams haven't played in a week? Like, because it's never happened before. So I think it's kind of an interesting way to kind of handicap these game ones.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's probably an advantage in some aspect in terms of they have momentum, but like I said, they have to go with now their third or the Padres, the 4th guy in the rotation, and they have to take on the ace on the other team. But if you survive the first couple of games and this goes to a game 5, you're going to have the pitching advantage in probably game 4 and in game 5 if it lasts that long. So I don't know. It's interesting for sure. We'll kind of see how it goes as the round goes on. But yeah, I like the Phillies in game 1. I think the odds are whack. Marty chiming in again. Jamarcus undefeated against Denver, though. That's a fact. Shout out to Jamarcus Russell, one of the biggest draft busts of all time.
I did not know we'd be talking Jamarcus Russell on the show today.
There you go. Shout out Jamarcus Russell. I wish him well. So you are looking at the Yankees game tomorrow night. You won't be on the show tomorrow, so I'll let you make this pick. I will make my pick for this game on tomorrow's episode of the show. So let me hear it. Are you betting on your Yankees, or are you going with the sign that you have in the background?
Yeah, I have the sign up. So there were 2 options for the sign today. There was the one that I went with, the emo hedge of the century, which is what my bet is. And there was also another one. It was going to be surely the Blue Jays are in the ALDS, but I'm a good friend. Did not want to bring up the Jays for too long on the show. So I stayed away from that one. But I am fading my Yankees in a certain way. I'm taking the first 5 Guardians money line plus 172 in this game. And I'm fading Garrett Cole. Like, I'm going to be straight up. I don't trust Garrett Cole in this spot. I don't think a lot of Yankees fans trust Garrett Cole in this spot with the way he has pitched lately and the way he pitched in the playoffs last year. The big issue for me is the home runs. Garrett Cole, last 8 starts, he's allowed a home run in each of those starts. He's allowed 12 total over that stretch. So the issue here, playoff games we see obviously are going to be a lot of low-scoring games. I'm very nervous about the first inning, second inning Garrett Cole home run where he just gives one up And if the Yankees don't get the bats going right away, it could be problematic, especially early. And Cal Quantrill, we talk about teams having to use their third starter. The Guardians' rotation is really, really good. Their third starter, Cal Quantrill, having a fantastic season. He's 15-5 with a 3.38 ERA. That's a better ERA than Garrett Cole this season. And over his last 9 starts, he has a 2.32 ERA, and the Guardians are 8-1 in those games. I like Cal Quantrill more than Garrett Cole in this spot. Obviously, first postseason start of his career. But like I said, we've seen Garrett Cole struggle in this spot. We've seen him struggle recently with giving up home runs. He did it in his last start against the Rangers. So I think that could be the kiss of death in the first 5. Maybe the Yankees end up winning the game, but I'm going to roll the Guardians early here.
Guardians first 5 money line plus 172. Fading your team, a little emo hedge, but you could win both the bet and the Yankees win the game. We will see. My pick here for the other afternoon game, I think it starts at about 3:30 Eastern, I think. Astros, Mariners. Mariners stink. Give me the Astros in the spot. When someone's tweeted at me when I said that I'm going to cheer for the Phillies from here on out, they said you should cheer for the Mariners. That would be like becoming friends with the person who just murdered your parents in front of your eyes. I'm not cheering for the Mariners. I liked them in the regular season. After what they just did, they just came back in 8-1 and then danced on our field. Like, no, I hate the Mariners. I hope they get swept this series, and I hate the Astros too. But I will take the Astros game 1 run line here. They're putting out Justin Verlander, Cy Young winner, gets to face a team that ranks 10th in OPS since September 1st, 14th in OPS this season. Verlander is also 5-1 against the Mariners this season with a 2.34 ERA, a .921 WHIP. Used to like this Mariners team, hate them now. Screw them. Astros run line plus 112.
I like this play as well. I wrote up our preview for this today, so a little sneak peek. I'm also on that same Astros run line. I think Verlander's just too much, especially against Logan Gilbert.
Marty says that the Braves win, he means tomorrow. Do they go bullpen game 2? I have no idea.
I mean, they could, and that would set up. Well, no, because then that would set up because Darvish probably is going to be back for game 2. I think they would just go Kyle Wright game 2, but you never know. They did some weird stuff last year in the playoffs, right? Where they went bullpen game to save Charlie Morton for an extra day. So I think it's it all depends with these teams, especially if they only, because I think the Braves are only going 3-man because Strider's still out. So yeah, you're gonna have to check the pitching matchups every single day. That's the one thing I will say.
Did Mike Soroka never come up and pitch for them?
No, I don't think so. I think is he still hurt? Still recovering?
He pitched in the minors for sure. He was doing rehab starts. I thought he was supposed to come up by the end of the season, but is this article recent? Oh my God, he suffered another injury. Oh my God.
Dude, what?
I just pulled up an article from September 22nd. It says he pulled another injury. Had a rough patch in AAA after a promising start. He's now being shut down with an elbow injury.
Dude, oh my God.
He had potentially be the greatest Canadian baseball player of all time.
He was their best pitcher, one of their best young pitchers. So now it's just, it's terrible. I feel bad for him.
Rough. All right, so I think that's it. Yeah, those are our best bets for tonight and tomorrow. We are going to get to our best bet for the Thursday night football game later on, but let's quickly just go through each divisional series and give our picks for each one. We'll start off with the Guardians against your New York Yankees. I'll tell you what, if the Yankees win the World Series, I'm going to have to pack up and leave town because I don't want to live here if the Yankees win the World Series. So go ahead, give me your pick for Yankees Guardians.
Yeah, I'm taking the Yankees. I think they win the series. I think it just comes down to the bats. New York has a much better offense. These teams are pretty similar pitching-wise in terms of where they landed season-long ERA. Yankees have a slightly better bullpen, but honestly, the way they played in the second half of the season, you might give the Guardians the edge there. But I just think the Yankees bats, especially with them getting a bunch of guys back healthy, I think they have the better offense here. Obviously, playing at Yankee Stadium gives them the advantage in games 1 and 2. If they win Cole's start tomorrow, as crazy as this is, I think that's the big scare for the Yankees. Can they win Garrett Cole's start? If they win Garrett Cole's start, I think they go on to win the series pretty easily.
So there you have it. You are back in your Yankees minus 220. Might emo hedge in game 1, but not going to emo hedge the series. Yankees minus 220. I'm obviously on the opposite side here. I'll take the Guardians plus 182 to upset the Yankees. Fun fact for you, Peter, since August 1st, the Guardians ranked 4th in the majors in starting pitcher ERA at 3.12. The Yankees during that stretch, 12th in starting pitcher ERA. Garrett Cole, bum. Luis Severino, bum. Nestor Cortez, turns out he's a bum too. They're all bums. Their pitchers suck. Their bullpen sucks. Their offense sucks outside of Aaron Judge. They should just rename themselves to the New York Aaron Judges. They aren't deep enough to win a best-of-5 series in the postseason. They will lose to the Guardians, and I will laugh all the way to the bank because I'm going to cash in on Guardians plus 182. The New York Aaron Judges.
I mean, it's true. That is true. They better pay him whatever he wants this offseason.
All right, let's move on to the Mariners against the Astros here. Peter, you're back in the underdog Mariners here.
Yeah, I like the Mariners a little bit here. I also don't like the Astros like straight up. I don't want to play them. I don't want them to be any further in the playoffs. But Mariners have some really good pitching, man. I mean, between Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray, Logan Gilbert, like they have guys who can match up, and I think it actually benefits them that they don't have to waste Castillo in game one. Like they probably weren't going to beat Verlander no matter what. Like it's just he's that good. Where I think it actually behooves them where if it ends up being a bullpen game or Castillo in game 2 and it's Robbie Ray in game 3, probably something along those lines. I think it's going to help them out because they're going to have 2 of their best starters pitching when they're at home in Seattle. So I like that. I think they can push this series to 5, potentially maybe steal a game 5. Astros have been great this year. Don't get me wrong. They have the best bullpen ERA. They're 7th in OPS. Like it's a great team. I just think the Mariners are coming in off that crazy win over the Jays. Momentum's there. It's a young team. They kind of have nothing to lose. So at almost 2-1, like I don't mind it. Yeah,
I'm going to take the Astros here. I'm not going to back the Mariners. I hate that. I mean, basically all the same points that I already talked about in the series. But I think the Astros are the best team in the American League, and I think it's not even really close. I think they have enough pitchers that they could have like almost 2 full starting rotation of like starting worthy pitchers. And like I said earlier, the Mariners aren't exactly a top tier offensive team in the major, so it's going to be hard for them to score runs against the pitching staff. I just think they're too deep. Their offense is better than the Mariners. So yeah, I like the Astros in this one. Before we move on to the National League, Marty chimes in again, says, I'm in awe of how much money Judge is going to make this offseason. Steve Cohen is already committed to spending whatever it takes. Can Judge get north of $750 million? How would you feel if Aaron Judge went to Queens to play at Citi Field?
I mean, you can have fun losing in the wild card then, I guess. I don't know. The Mets stink, man. Doesn't matter what they do. They can spend all the money they want. They're the Mets. It's whatever.
I might have contributed to them losing by starting to cheer for them. So both teams I cheer for, big favorites in the wild card round, both eliminated.
And
the issue is like
now on the Phillies, they're a dog though. So
yeah, but now I can't go watch postseason baseball because I will not be going to Yankee Stadium unless if they play like the Astros in the ALCS and they're down 3-0 and the Astros are about to sweep them. I'm going to go to Yankee Stadium and I will laugh the whole game as the Yankees get swept. So in that case, I'll go to Yankee Stadium. I want to give that franchise as little money as possible. All right, let's move on to the National League. Let's start with the Phillies and the Braves here. I'll go first here because my pick is obvious. I've already talked about it. I'm going to take the Phillies to win this series. Before the playoffs started, I picked them to win the National League. They just remind me a lot of the Nationals from a few years ago. They have a hot offense. They have a couple of stud pitchers in Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. I know in this series we're not going to see them probably till game 3. But yeah, they're just, if you want to back a hot team, you got to back the Phillies. They look great against the Cardinals. What a gritty win in game 1 when they scored all those runs in the top of the 9th to come back and win. They have the pitching. Their bullpen's one of the worst in the majors, but that's a big reason why they remind me of the Nationals from a few years ago, because the Nationals had quite literally their 30th, only 30 teams in Major League Baseball, 30th in bullpen ERA heading into the playoffs when they won the World Series. Phillies are like 26th. So as long as they kind of avoid their bullpen or manage them and get their starters to go deep into the innings, I think they have as good of a chance as anyone. So I like them to upset the Braves and move on to the NLCS. Peter, you disagree with me here. You are on the Braves.
Yeah, you kind of hinted at my point forward. Their bullpen stinks, and now you don't have Zach Wheeler or Aaron Nola early. So what worries me is like, can they win game 1 and 2 without those guys on the mound? Because you're going to have to rely on that bullpen at some point. Ranger Suarez, if he does, like, I'll gladly be wrong, but like, it's not going to go out there and throw a complete game. Are they going to go bullpen game in game 4, or do they pitch Noah Syndergaard or Kyle Gibson? Like, what is their plan going to be in game 2? To kind of get them through this series. I think that gives the Braves a huge advantage. They have one of the best offenses in baseball to potentially take both games in Atlanta and then come back to Philly with Philadelphia's backs against the wall. So that's kind of the way I see this one. I also think the Braves, I preseason bet them to win the World Series. I think they're going to come out of the NL, so I think they're winning this series for sure.
Yeah, we will certainly see about that one, but I need to ride. Well, now that I'm publicly said I'm cheering for the Phillies, they're probably going to lose in the most heartbreaking fashion possible. Let's talk with the last one here. This is one where we're on the same side here. Padres, Dodgers. Yeah, I think you just have to take the Dodgers. I mean, I'd love to take an underdog. I see no reason how you can do it. The Dodgers against the Padres, I had it up here somewhere, but I think they're 15-4 against, or 14-5 against the Padres this season. They've dominated the Padres. Mike Clevenger starts game 1 for the Padres, and he has an over 9 ERA against the Dodgers this season. So they're going to lose game 1. I just don't think they have the firepower to come back. And this Dodgers team heading into the postseason, first in the majors in OPS, first in the majors in starting pitcher ERA, second in the majors in bullpen ERA. Like, they have no weaknesses. So good luck beating the Dodgers, especially when you're going to start Mike Clevenger in game 1. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I just can't see them doing it.
It was very cool. Padres upsetting the Mets, obviously, like, fantastic job by them. But like, to lose all 3, because their top 3 starters are good. Like Darvish, Snell, Musgrove can kind of give you trouble. But the fact that those guys, like, maybe they try and bring Darvish back for game 2 of this series, but even that's kind of a tight. I think that's 3 days rest, 4 days rest. Like, it's just a tough turnaround to be on if you're San Diego. So I'm taking the Dodgers too. I don't see a way where the Padres, just after not being able to beat them all year in the regular season, with a like lesser, like with their pitching being in a lesser spot in each game to start the series, just don't see how they win this series.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I think the Dodgers are certainly the play there. There we go. I'll bring up your little graphic saying you got the Dodgers there. So that's that. Those are our picks for the divisional series. Let's talk game of the night. Let's here. Marty's going to chime in one more thing here about this series. Tatis needs to treat the pitching staff for ringworm so they can get a title. Is that a steroids joke?
Yeah,
I love it. It might be a little too late for that, unfortunately. I don't think steroids work that quickly, but I like it. Hey, may as well. Astros won a World Series by cheating, and they got to hold on theirs. Cheat as much as possible.
Baseball's something else, man.
All right, game of the night, Chiefs-Raiders. Spread is right around 7.5, depending on where you are looking. It is Patrick Mahomes taking on the Raiders, who they absolutely destroyed the Raiders both games last season. So why don't you go ahead and start off with your pick? Which way are you leaning for your best bet for Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I'm taking Kansas City. I got them at 7. I was waiting all week to see if I could get a 6.5. Taking it at 7. They are by far the better football team. But the thing I look at in this game, I talked about the primetime, how they've won 15 of 17 games with Patrick Mahomes in primetime. But their offense is going to destroy this Raiders defense. The Raiders are bottom 10 in the league in yards per play. They're giving up a ton of points this year. I don't see how the Raiders slow down Patrick Mahomes. And with the way this offense played last week against the number 1 defense in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I just don't think that this is a Raiders team that's going to be able to slow them down. Also, the Chiefs have put up at least 32 points in their last 5 games against the Raiders. They just score at will against them. 3 of those games, they've scored 40 or more. I question Derek Carr being able to keep up if the game gets to that point where it's, 35 plus points. I brought up the Mahomes stat earlier, how great he is against the Raiders in his career. At the end of the day, like, the Raiders could potentially keep this close if they can establish the run, but that's a huge if. Can they establish the run? Chiefs have actually been one of the better defenses in the NFL to start this season. So I like Kansas City here. Not going to overthink them at home against this team. I just think they're going to roll.
All right, we are on opposite sides tonight. I got Raiders earlier in the week at +7.5 here. It is an ugly bet. I'm not going to lie. It is ugly. It took me a little bit to click submit on this bet. I think it's the right play, though. Raiders' offense heading into this week was 13th in yards per play. Chiefs were 7th. So their offensive differences isn't quite as big as you might imagine. And I found this out about the Chiefs' defense once I started digging their stats a little bit. 31st in the NFL in opponent completion percentage. Teams are completing 70.29% of passes against them. So a lot of good defensive statistics, but that's a little bit of a red flag. And I brought that stat up to Matt Verderam on our NFL pregame show yesterday, and he said he's watched the Chiefs, and whenever they get up to a lead, they play an extremely soft shell defense and just let teams complete whatever passes they want to complete, which sounds okay, and that is probably an explanation for that stat. But that to me, with a spread of 7.5, that to me sounds like prime backdoor cover opportunity as well. If they get up by 10 points and then play a soft shell defense and allow Derek Carr to just attack them in front of him like low catches, and they just move down the field and they're just going to let them waste time, there's a little sneaky backdoor opportunity late in the game. But like I said earlier when I was talking about them, I said if the Raiders run the ball as successfully this week as they did last week, obviously that's a tall order because they ran the ball down Denver's throat. No offense, Peter. Then I think they can keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. I think they can keep this game close. I think their offense is being a little bit underrated because of their record so far this season. And the Chiefs, kind of a prime candidate for backdoor covers, kind of has me concerned as well. And I found a stat. I'm going to see if I can find it again. Who tweeted it? Stat was when Patrick Mahomes is favored by, I think, more than a touchdown, like his cover rate is not good at all. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, but I didn't save it, of course. But yeah, so I think the Raiders keep it within 7. Do they win? Probably not. Can they keep it within 7.5? I think so. We'll see.
I think when you said the Jacobs thing at the beginning, I really think it depends on if they can establish the run. Because if they can establish the run, they can avoid letting this game get out of hand. But like their last 5 games against the Chiefs, they've let the game get out of hand because they just let them score and rack up points. Like if this game starts with 1-2 quick strikes from Kansas City, like I just don't know how the Raiders keep up with them. I just don't see it happening.
I did find the stat I was looking for. John Ewing tweeted this 3 hours ago. Since 2020 is a favorite of more than a field goal, Patrick Mahomes is 12-20 against the spread. That's a cover rate of 38%. Does that concern me?
Not as much because I know they were on that horrible streak last year where they didn't cover in 10 straight games or something like that. I feel like they were favored by more than a field goal in probably all of those. So that kind of, I mean, they definitely have had trouble covering sometimes, but against this Raiders team, they've blown them out a few times too. So
yeah, they were probably favored by more than a field goal both games last year when they destroyed the Raiders by a combined 80 points. So
yeah.
All right. Last thing we got to go through is the community pick, and community pick is on your side, Peter. Chiefs -7. Community has not been good lately. Has not been good.
Turning it around today, they told me.
All right, we'll see. So why don't we just quickly recap our picks here for those who missed the picks at the start of the show. I'll list mine off here first. Usually we would have a graphic here, but I'm running graphics myself. No producer Joanne. I miss her already. My picks. I like the over tonight, 51.5 between the Raiders and Chiefs. For an early slate for MLB tomorrow, I'm on Phillies +175 against the Braves, and Astros run line +112. And then my best bet is Raiders +7.5 to cover that spread against the Chiefs. Peter, list off your picks.
Yeah, so I'm on Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 touchdown passes +125. Hunter Renfrow, anytime touchdown scorer, is +230. I'm also on the Guardians first 5 money line +172 against the Yankees tomorrow. And then my best bet is the Chiefs -7 tonight against the Raiders.
Awesome. So there you have it. There is our show. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the BetSided YouTube channel so I can keep my job. Please give the video a like, a little thumbs up, and best of luck to all of your bets tonight. Any final thoughts, Peter?
No, let's have a nice Monday Night Football game. I'm tired of these bad primetime games. Can we have a nice one tonight? Jeez.
Yes, I agree. Let's have some fun. Gambler bless everyone. There's one more message in the chat. Luke Schill, good luck, boy. Good luck, boys. Let's see those Pat Mahomes TDs. Peter. All right, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow with it'll be me and Ben, and my guest tomorrow, I believe, will be Chris Abbott. We'll be talking Major League Baseball, and the start of the NHL season is technically already started, but the true start of the season is tomorrow night, so we're looking forward to that. And also the early read will be hosted tomorrow by Reed Wallach at 1 p.m. Eastern, talking college football week 7, and he'll be joined by the Reign of Troy podcast host. Going to talk a little USC football, I imagine. All right, talk to y'all later. See ya tomorrow.